inherently there's going to be a lot of carbohydrates on a typical vegan diet. For somebody you're working with, it sounds like you've worked with people that have done this successfully. How would somebody adopt a diet like that without going high on the carbs?
Yeah, so low carb plant based is very challenging, but it can be done with proper planning. One of my concerns about vegan diets is that it is mandatory to supplement certain things. There are essential nutrients that we cannot get from plants. And again, the most staunch vegan advocate would not argue that point. It's not a debatable point. You can say, okay, I'm just going to choose to take supplements, and that's a choice, and that may work for you. But vegan diets, by definition, are going to be nutritionally deficient in certain elements. And like I said, you can make it work. If you're trying to do a low-carb vegan diet, very difficult to do. So the reason that vegan diets can sometimes help to improve insulin resistance typically is because of their caloric reduction. You're just taking in less energy. But if you're starting metabolically unhealthy, I find it's very hard to get improvement with a vegan diet. If you're starting from a metabolically healthy place, the vegan diets can help to, can sustain metabolic health. But I have not seen nearly the success of overcoming insulin resistance with vegan diets that I see with low carb diets in general. And so it's doable. It's very difficult. I have worked with some people on it, and you can do it. It just takes a lot of planning. It's a lot more intensive, I'll say, to try and do it with a plant-based approach rather than with an approach that incorporates animal proteins.
So you have or you haven't seen somebody reverse insulin resistance on a vegan diet?
I have not personally worked with any vegans that have reversed insulin resistance. There are some people out there who talk about it. I've worked with plant-based people who are already, are starting from a place of insulin sensitivity, and they can configure their diet in such a way that they can maintain insulin sensitivity at least over shorter periods of time. But no, I can't say that I have personally worked with someone that came to me insulin resistant, instituted a vegan diet, and reversed their insulin resistance. The one thing that is positive about a true plant-based diet, and again, this is where, again, you get into the nuance of the terms, because, technically Oreos are vegan. We see all of this processed food that's vegan, the fake meat products. These are all vegan. People who are eating a plant-based diet, a whole food plant-based diet that are eliminating processed food, they are going to see improvement because of that elimination of processed food. And again, this gets into the other part of the discussion, that it's not just the carbohydrates in the processed food that are harmful. It's some of the other things that are in processed food that are harmful as well. And elimination of those also seems to have a great impact on improving metabolic health.
So let's stick with somebody then that you've worked with that is metabolically healthy and they're maintaining that through a vegan diet. I'm just so curious on what a day's eating could look like. Can you give us an idea? Because are they just putting a ton of fat into the diet? Like, I can't even picture what that would look like. Eating a day vegan, that would be low carb.
Yeah, so they're usually getting fat from, coconut oil and olive oil primarily, maybe avocado you'll throw in there. So again, the non-seed oils, those are like the fruit-based oils. Their protein sources are coming from, vegan protein sources. And again, very challenging to get the right balance of proteins. There are certain amino acids that is very challenging to get from plant-based sources. And they are keeping their carbohydrates typically under about 100 grams a day. So not what a lot of us would consider to be a very low carbohydrate diet, but it is low carbohydrate when, comparison to the average Western diet, the standard American diet, which is usually about 300 grams of carbohydrate a day. So I would call it a relatively low carbohydrate diet. It's not going to be, a super low carbohydrate diet like a carnivore or a typical ketogenic diet is. But again, if you're coming from a place of good metabolic health, if you're very physically active, you're probably going to be able to tolerate 100 grams of carbohydrate a day. And so, within that 100 grams of carbs, you can construct a diet that's going to support, your needs as a vegan.
If you enjoyed that clip, press here for the full episode. I'll see you over there.
The first 10 plus years as a heart surgeon, I was increasingly unhealthy. I was morbidly obese, I was pre-diabetic, and I realized that I was destined for my own operating table.